I can't talk on camera. It feels weird. Tanya Andrea Caldas. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. It's a little bit of a mess, but it's okay. I'm a mess. Hi, my name is Tanya Andrea Caldas, and welcome to 2022. I hope you're doing okay. I was not expecting to start off this year with the death of an American icon, and it hasn't yet been 30 days, and I don't even want to get into the list of things that have already happened, but I can only hope that I am finding you well. I think like a lot of you, I was not expecting to be living through biblical revelation style events, which my Catholic school upbringing should have prepared me for. But the only thing I remember about plagues and the Book of Exodus was the musical animated feature that they made about it with that killer soundtrack.
You must look at your life. Look at your life through heaven's eyes.
Now, I know we're all tired of hearing people recount living through these unprecedented historical times, but you're here. I have things to say, so please sit back, have a cup of coffee, have a cup of tea, and let me just go off on this tangent of what's been going on the last few years. Now, before we start, I need to acknowledge right off the bat that I have been fortunate enough not to have been devastated.
Well, emotionally, yes.
But I have not been devastated by this time period the way other people have been. I've not had to worry about how I was going to survive this time, and that's in thanks to my support system. Without them, I don't know where I'd be. And that's an incredible privilege I need to acknowledge right off the bat. But like a lot of you, I lost years to this panorama. I was 24 going on 25 at the start of this, when whispers of this virus were just starting to circulate global news outlets. And now I'm 27 and I want to run through my thoughts over this time period. So let's begin. I've never been a true optimist about humanity. Having an atheist at home really helped even out the indoctrination Catholicism teaches you about people. But boy, was I not expecting the callousness from people when faced with the real-life inequities of our society. Like, people really be pretending like nothing is happening out there. Now, when I say this, I'm referencing the United States because that's where I was born and raised. And for a nation that boasts about how it's the greatest in the world while not giving its citizens basic human needs, and while also requiring those citizens to feed into its economy, is so laughably villainous. But what am I really to expect from a nation that really chose these guys for our 45th presidential term? Like, honestly, what was I really expecting? But the thing is, I understand how we got here. Americans don't know their own history, at least not the full gravity of it. And looking back on how history was taught to us in our educational system, I want an apology. We all deserve an apology. People of color especially deserve an apology. Like,
I'm sorry.
The way America loves to gloss over the atrocities that occurred here in this nation as just the norms of the time, and the fact that we're constantly told that we can't hold our founding fathers to the same moral standards of today is so stupid. Like, just because atrocities and wars have occurred throughout history doesn't mean we have to normalize it. We're supposed to learn from it. That's the whole point of writing it down. And I feel like a lot of us forget that. When we got to learning our American history, it really bothered me, the casualness of how we talked about all these atrocities. Maybe it's because I'm both an Española and Ecuadoriana, but learning about how the Spanish funded the colonization of this country, so essentially funded the genocide and enslavement of other people, really hurt to learn. But the casualness of how we used to speak about our history always felt off, and the only time I ever learned about the real severities of what happened was when I came home and spoke with my father. And it was never about making us feel bad about our history, but it was about knowing the actualities of it. The accountability that we took was knowing our own history, and honestly, I'm incredibly thankful for that. Now, to anyone who's going to try to come at me about this, especially mis americanos, please don't. I'm a direct product of this nation, through and through, like a lot of you. And I know my history, the good, the bad, the genocidal. So please, siéntate. But I'm going to sit with the knowledge of the actualities of what happened here because it's important.
So just chill out. Drink a 7-Up, eat a moon pie.
This leads me into my next thought about how no one likes to take accountability for anything, especially not in their day-to-day. Now, living under government mandates suck, but America's individualistic ideals are going to be the death of us, which it already has for many people. Leaving personal accountability to the individual to get us out of this time period was never a viable solution, especially because most people don't have any sense of themselves. So why would they have any sense of wanting to take care of their neighbor? So this is a true story. I have a friend who, on an off day, decided to kick down the door of his apartment off of his hinges when he had forgotten his key at home and couldn't bother to wait for his mother to arrive back home when she was just around the corner. When I asked this friend if he was doing okay, he simply laughed off the whole thing as just some quirky little thing one just does when they are feeling off, which has never been me, and I don't think has been most people. And even after I pressed him on it, I was never given an actual answer as to why he did what he did. And honestly, I don't even think he realizes why he did what he did. So yeah, sorry, I don't trust that individual to be making personal decisions that are gonna affect other people. And yes, I know that's all anecdotal, but I don't really trust the general population to be making informed decisions about a time period as big as a plague. And the level of callousness I witness from people in my personal life has honestly been astounding. The conversations that I've had really have shown me that a lot of people do not care who they have to step on, or realistically, who has to die in order for them to be successful. And it's not like I didn't know individuals' rampant insensitivity to others, but I am quite surprised at how widespread it is, which honestly is probably my fault because I know my history and it's always kind of been like this. Oh, that's incredibly depressing. But there was something else that I did see over this time period that can also be witnessed across history, that gives me hope and keeps the optimist in me alive, and that's people's fervor for change. After the murder of George Floyd, where the world witnessed the disgusting nature of people in positions of power, the nation was thrown into a state of unrest, and rightfully so. People of color have always been talking about the injustices and the inequities they experience, only to ever have it fall on deaf ears, or to have their concerns placated by people who've never walked a day in their shoes. But no one could argue the disgusting nature of those 8 minutes and 46 seconds that we all witnessed. And besides unrest that this created in the streets, this forced hard conversations in our own homes, at our own tables. And in those hard conversations, a lot of people's true natures really showed through. And no, that's not to say that people who have different belief systems than me are evil or bad people. I don't think that way. But I do have the understanding that the majority of people cannot see past their own noses and their own lived experiences. And that's incredibly dangerous, as we saw just a year ago. That really happened. Let me not. Now, on a personal level, this time period had a really devastating effect on my mental health, and I didn't notice it at first. It was only when I realized I hit levels of weight that I have not been since middle school did I realize the severity of how it was affecting me. I lost 15 pounds, and it was honestly by accident. There'd be days where I'd eat once a day, and there'd be other days where I'd have no want to eat. I only noticed when I looked at myself in the mirror and no longer recognized myself. And that was incredibly devastating to realize that I had to let myself get to that point, even if it was by accident. Not only that, this time period really revealed to me that a lot of my lifelong friendships have been incredibly surface level. I realized that people who have known me for years didn't actually know me or care to know me, which was tough. And when I realized that and moved beyond the pain, I honestly became really okay with it. Because in those revelations, I learned which of my friendships were really true. I had friends who did know me as I knew them, and having those conversations with them over these last few months have been really wonderful. And I think really strengthened my relationships with those people. So yeah, there's been a lot of growing pains over these last few years, but I have to say I'm incredibly thankful for this time because I really got to know myself. I got to learn my values, my wants, and my expectations. And I have to acknowledge again how incredibly privileged I am to have had that time because a lot of people don't have the opportunity to do that. And I have to thank my support system for that, my parents especially. They allowed me the time to pull myself back together, and I got to do it in the way that I wanted to. I moved during this time, and I had always wanted to venture away from home. We can blame it on all the classic adventure games that we all played growing up. But I had to wait years before I was actually ready to leave. But when I did, I cut a lot of ties and I left a lot of things behind. And though there's still pain there, I am incredibly grateful for it because I feel so relieved. I have friends and family who support me and my dreams and want the best from me. And I want to make them proud. And I want to make myself proud. So that's where I'm at in 2022, and that's why we are here. I don't know what I expect to come out of this channel, but I definitely needed a place where I could come and relieve my trains of thought and not just throw them on my family and my friends, my roomies especially. Apparently 10 o'clock in the morning is too early to be getting into my crazy tirades, so I might just do that here. And hey, I'm open to disagreements, just be a decent human being about it. I don't know what's to come for me, but I'm excited to see where this goes, so if you enjoyed, I hope you'll stick around. And if this is where we part ways, that's perfectly fine. You can unsubscribe or don't subscribe at all, but most importantly, NoMeJodas. Hi guys, this is post-production Tanya, and I just want to thank you for making it all the way to the end of this video. I just want to plug in some of my other social media sites. If you know me, you know that I go on many tangents and tirades, mostly here on my Instagram, and then I also want to throw in my Twitter if you'd like to follow me there. But yeah, thank you again for making it to the end of this video, and I hope you join me again.